everyone, my name is Keely. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you've been here before. Today I'm going to talk about my most anticipated releases for the last quarter of the year. So this will cover October, November, and December. Now October has so many releases. I think this month has my most anticipated releases of the year. So November and December don't have too many on my list, but these are just some books that have caught my eye. And remember, these dates that I have down are subject to change because publishing is always changing, but these are the dates that I have seen where these books are coming out. I'm so excited and looking forward to and intrigued by each and every one of these books, and I hope you are too. I'm very interested to know what your most anticipated release of the last part of the year is. Also, I am not huge into reading synopsis of books before I read them. I don't want to know too much. So some of these I might not go into too much detail with. I might just give you some buzzwords that intrigued me, and maybe it will intrigue you as well. But also because there are so many books on this list, I don't want to take up all of your time just by reading straight from the synopsis. So I will just give you some little intriguing tidbits about each of these books. But let's go ahead and get on into October's releases. Coming out on October 1st, we have Air by Sabaa Tahir. This is Sabaa Tahir's newest book, starting off a brand new fantasy duology. And I didn't even read what this one was about because as soon as I saw Sabaa Tahir's name, I added it to my want to read because An Ember in the Ashes is one of my favorite series of all time. I'm not even a fantasy reader and I just absolutely love that series. So I will read absolutely anything that she puts out. So one of the taglines says, an orphan, an outcast, a prince, and a killer that will bring the empire to its knees. Again, Sabaa Tahir, that's all I need to know. Next, also on October 1st, is Where Shadows Meet by Patrice Caldwell. And I'm sorry, once again, I don't know anything about this book because all I saw was vampires. So I believe this is a new vampire fantasy romance adult book, which I am very nervous about because I don't like adult fantasy books and a lot of fanro books tend to be hit or miss for me. But anytime I see a vampire in the synopsis, I'm going to read it. That is my fault. That is my fatal flaw. I will read any vampire book. Also on October 1st is Let It Glow by Marissa Meyer, and this is actually a middle grade story from her. And once again, Marissa Meyer is somebody who is one of my favorite authors, so I will read anything she writes. And this one sounds really cute. It's about these two young girls who meet at this Christmas pageant, and they knew that they were both adopted. They just didn't know that they were an identical twin until they start seeing double when they meet. This just sounds so cute. I am a sucker for stories about twins who grew completely apart, didn't know the other existed, and then they meet. And I'm so excited to see how Marissa does this one. Also on October 1st, I have Subpar Planet by Amber Sher. So this is kind of a nonfiction / art book. I have another one of her books about national parks, and essentially she takes 1-star reviews, she illustrates the landmark or park, and she spins the 1-star reviews on their head and talks about basically how these reviews are bogus and they don't make any sense because our planet and our parks are absolutely stunning. I had so much fun with the first one. I love the artwork, so I'm definitely looking forward to this second release from her. Once again, October 1st, this is a very big release day. We have Fang Fiction by Kate Stayman London. And again, this is a vampire book, but this one is a romance book. So we follow this woman who is obsessed with vampires, and then one day a vampire may just walk into her life. Again, vampires, romance. I'm so excited for this one, and I do have an arc, so hopefully I pick it up soon. But do I ever pick up my arcs on time? No. Also on October 1st, we have The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden, and we follow this woman who has always struggled with dating until one day she meets the perfect guy. And then suddenly in their city, there are a string of murders where this man is dating women and then killing them, and she thinks, oh, well, luckily I have the perfect guy. Or does she? I am really excited for this one. I have read one Frida McFadden before and I absolutely loved it. Her writing is right up my alley, so addicting, and this synopsis sounds so good. Next we have Two Can Play by Ali Hazelwood, also coming out October 1st, and I believe this is a Spotify audiobook exclusive. And in this one we follow a woman who lands her dream job where she gets to make a video game based off of her favorite book series. However, the person she's working with is her arch nemesis. Now, I have loved Ali Hazelwood, and she is still considered one of my favorite authors. However, Her recent last 3 releases has all not been good for me, and so I'm really hoping she turns things back around and goes back to how she originally was, because I loved her early books so much. Coming out on October 8th, we have Haunt Your Heart Out by Amber Roberts, and this is a romance following a ghost hunter and a bookseller. And I believe she kind of tells him that her bookstore is haunted, and so they start getting entangled in perhaps a romance and a ghost hunting. This sounds like the perfect fall romance, and I'm so excited for it. Also on October 8th is The Last One at the Wedding by Jason Rekulek. In this one, we follow a daughter who has been estranged from her father for several years, when one day she calls him up and says she is getting married and he's invited. He shows up to the wedding and he feels a little bit out of place. It's at this really fancy place. He doesn't know anyone there, and he starts to realize things might be a little off and he needs to save his daughter. So I read Hidden Pictures by this author and absolutely loved it. So he is one of those that I look forward to picking up all of his new releases from here on out. Also on October 8th, we have The Bletchley Riddle by Ruta Sepetys and Steve Sheinkin. Now, Ruta Sepetys is a historical fiction author that I've loved her work in the past, so she's another one that I always want to read all of her books because they are so hard-hitting and I learn a lot. This one in particular follows some kids who get wrapped up in the World War II codebreakers scene, and they are trying to uncover the mysterious reason that their mother died. Coming out on October 15th, we have If I Stopped Haunting You by Colby Wilkins. This is a enemies to lovers romance about 2 writers who are at a writing retreat and they get trapped in a haunted castle in Scotland. So this has so many interesting buzzwords and I'm really, really looking forward to this one. Again, sounds like a perfect fall romance. And the last book for October is also on October 15th, and it is The Bitter End by Alexa Dunn. We follow a group of teenagers that get trapped in a secluded, snowy cabin, and they realize they are stuck with a killer. So anything secluded, snowy, trapped with a killer, I am there. I've also read one book by Alexa Dunn before, and I really, really loved it. Her writing was so addicting, so I'm hoping this one is fast-paced and addicting as well. Moving on to November, the first book I'm looking forward to comes out on November 5th, and that is Lost and Lassoed by Lila Sage. So this is book 3 in the Rebel Blue Ranch series, and I am obsessed with this series. This is easily the best cowboy romance series out there. Nothing even comes close to it, honestly. So this is the much anticipated Teddy and Gus story, and if you have read the first 2 books in the series, you know that they absolutely hate each other. So I am so excited to see this romance because from book 1, we all knew something was gonna change. Coming out on November 7th is Gone with the Penguins by Hazel Pryor. This is the 3rd book in this Penguin trilogy where we follow this crotchety old woman who one day watches a penguin documentary and it essentially changes her life and she wants to save the penguins. If there's one thing about me, it's that I'm a penguin lover. Like back here, I literally have an adopt a penguin box. Like, I love penguins. They are my absolute favorite animal. I read the first book in this series, and at the beginning I was like, I don't really like this, but by the end of it, I was crying, and I loved it. So I am eagerly awaiting continuing this series. On November 12th, we have The Courting of Bristol Keats by Mary E. Pearson, and this is another one I know absolutely nothing about it, simply because Mary E. Pearson's name is on it, and The Remnant Chronicles is again one of my favorite series of all time, so I will read anything Mary E. Pearson comes out with. Also on November 12th, we have Unraveled by Shannon Messenger. This is book 9.5 in the Keeper of the Lost Cities series. I am about halfway through this series and it is so much fun. I absolutely love it. It is a middle grade fantasy all about this little girl named Sophie who grew up in the human world, but she is a mind reader. And she always knew this was a little weird, and one day this boy comes up to her and tells her, I know you can read minds because I can also read minds. By the way, you are an elf. You need to come back with me to the Elven Kingdom. And it goes off from there, all these magical powers, this magical school, this found family. It's absolutely fantastic. And the last book for November comes out on the 19th, and that is A Legend in the Baking by Jamie Wesley. This is book 2 in this series, and I didn't love the first one. I actually think I DNF'd it, so we'll see if I like this one. But this is another case where it has my absolute favorite buzzwords in it, so I'm going to pick it up, and that is a foodie romance. That is my favorite subgenre of romance, so anytime there is food and love, I am going to be there. And this one is about a NFL player who is actually a baker, and he goes viral on social media. So again, foodie romance, I'm there, but I'm a little skeptical in this one because I did DNF the first one. Moving on to December, I only have 2 books on my list, which I feel like I'm missing some, but the first one on here comes out on December 10th. And that book is called Not in My Book by Katie Holt. Again, this is an adult romance following 2 people who are rivals in class, and they are both writers. And of course, they have to team up together. Turns out I only have 1 book for December because I just checked and my other book I had has been moved to January. Like I said, dates are changing all the time, so I never know if I'm gonna be right or wrong on these. But I guess that is all for my most anticipated releases for quarter 4 of this year. Again, let me know your most anticipated book, and are you also looking forward to any of these? I would love to know. If you've made it this far in the video, go ahead and leave the snowflake emoji. But that is it. Thank you so much for watching. As always, all my social media links will be down below, and I will see you next time. Bye!